So once again, of course, Ronald Gump is flapping his jaws about as fast as he can do it. And he come out of the gate Wednesday blaming Joe Biden for the U.S. economy's big contraction in the first quarter of 2025 and suggested outright that he'll just once again blame Biden in the second quarter if the results aren't good. I'm not kidding. He said, this is Biden. After the Commerce Department reported the gross domestic product declined in the first 3 months of this year. This is quotes from him, from the orange shit gibbon himself. And he says, and you could even say that the next quarter is Biden because it doesn't just happen on a daily or an hourly basis. This was during a cabinet meeting at the White House. The stock market in this case, it says how bad the situation is we inherited. This is a quarter that we looked at today, and we took all of us together. We came in on January 20th. He made this very clear. So the president's remarks come hours after his first defensive response to this commerce report showing the GDP fell 0.3%. And it was the first quarter of negative growth since 2022. And that's just because of COVID, right?
Can I just very, very, very quickly point out that during the run up to the election, he was pointing out the economy is really, really good at the minute. That's because people know that he's going to win.
Exactly.
So he admitted the economy was in a good place.
Yeah. He said, this is Biden's stock market, not Trump's. I didn't take over until blah, blah. Now, let me scroll down here because there's exactly what Dunk was saying there is in here. On January 29th, 2024, then presidential candidate wrote on Truth Social, this is the Trump stock market because my polls against Biden are so good that investors are rejoicing that I will win. That was on January 29th, 2024. He took full credit for it back then, right? So let me figure out where I was there. Yeah.
Sorry, I jumped the gun on that one. Sorry.
Well, a little bit, but it's a true fact here. So tariffs will soon start kicking in, Ronald Gump continued, and companies are starting to move into the U.S. in record numbers. Has just been a couple announcements of investment. Our country will boom, but we have to get rid of the Biden overhang. He continues, this will take a while and has nothing to do with tariffs, only that he left us with bad numbers. But when the boom begins, it will be like none other. Be patient. Now, I don't know how stupid anybody is, but if you look at the stock market numbers, as Trump was getting to office, there was a bit of a push up where it was like, yay, Trump, he's a money man. This will be great for us. And then it dive bombs big. The fact is, Ronald, that you were handed an absolutely great economy and have already screwed it into the ground. There's some truth for you. But according to the Commerce report, the GDP figure reflects a wave of imports that companies made to try to get ahead of all of this disastrous tariff crap. And there was also a drop in government spending, driven largely by a cut in defense. And a separate report on Wednesday showed that private payrolls rose by only 62,000 in April, far below the Dow Jones consensus, and they were looking for 120,000. So markets fell sharply at the open after this report came out. The bad economic data could hang over Trump's upcoming meeting with business leaders. There's about 24 of them showing up at the White House. And his blame casting on Biden could trip up recent efforts to take credit for what he asserts are a whole bunch of his developments, right? So he just did his speech where he said that prices are coming down. I've done that. But that's not actually true. The Federal Reserve's preferred inflation measure has it up sharply by 3.6% in Q1 alone, and that's up from 2.4% from the prior quarter. Experts have pegged the shrinking payroll numbers and cratering consumer confidence to uncertainty and fear surrounding Trump's tariffs, right? And then where are we here? Here's a White House spokesman who tore into this whole thing. When Joe Biden handed Donald Trump the best performing economy in the world, experts praised the U.S. for leaving every other wealthy nation in the dust. And now we're plummeting towards a Trump session. That's Andrew Bates, former White House spokesperson under Biden.
Can't afford dust these days.
Yeah. But it's really starting to be felt now. We were talking about Temu and prices going up. Well, now we've got this as well. Americans are starting to really feel it in the pocketbook just a little bit, and it's about to hit even more and more. The promises are not being met with reality, and I predict that the protests that we're seeing in America right now are going to get a hell of a lot bigger real soon. Oh, yeah. What do you think there, Dunk? What is the angry dude in this first picture you got? Who is this guy?
The angry dude? You should know them. That's the late Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip, who passed away in April 2021. Okay, this is not news. We know that. At the age of 99. And, he had been staying at the royal family's summer retreat with his wife, Queen Elizabeth, when he caught sight of what he believed was a species of cryptic ape. Yes, indeed, he saw Bigfoot in Scotland.
Just hanging out with Nessie, you know.
I think just Billy Connolly out for a walk. Now, this all, I just love this article. It's just so full of shit. That's why I've picked it. Not because of the accuracy in it, just for the utter gibberish news this is. Now, this all comes from Mark Christopher Lee, who has been researching US UFOs for several years and made several documentaries, and he's called himself the Britain's leading ufologist. Funny, because this is the first time I've ever heard of you. Now, he says he was passed the information by a Buckingham Palace source and is now going to investigate Philip's sighting even further. Yes, Mark said, I had some contact from the palace and there was some sort of Bigfoot at Balmoral. It's a Scotsman, a hairy Scotsman. Bigfoot at Balmoral. The Duke of Edinburgh saw once. This was in the 1970s. So, although sightings of Bigfoot are commonly seen in North America and reports of the Yeti, believed to be the same creature, come from the Himalayas, somehow Mark says there have been reported sightings of the creatures in Britain. The Bigfoot and Yeti, they love to travel. When you summering this year? Oh, I'm going to Balmoral.
They have such a history of boat building and you know.
I hear that golf is good this season.
Yeah, you know, the Vikings, they just paid the big feet to boat them around the world. It wasn't the Vikings doing the boating. That was a Bigfoot, right? That's how it works.
Oh God!
Oh yeah, yeah.
This expert,
that's how people got to Easter Island. Bigfoot, give them a ride, right? You know.
Shut up! You don't have to make this story any more stupid than it already is. Now, Mark, this ufologist says there have been reported sightings of the creatures in Britain. He said Box Hill, of all places, in Surrey. In Surrey, and there have been some sightings there.
I saw one looking for shopping for handbags in Cheshire, but
that's just a hairy old woman. Oh, no, it gets worse. It gets worse.
They're known to vacation in Monaco, you know.
It gets worse. Hold on to your hats, because Flash Gordon actor Brian Blessed previously revealed that Prince Philip and Queen Elizabeth both believed in Bigfoot was real, and once met a man who claimed he was kidnapped by a family of Sasquatch. Not the guy you've reported on. This is a different family. Is it the 88-year-old actor Brian Blessed, who starred in the late monarch's favourite film, Flash Gordon?
God, you figure he'd be about 300 by now. That's an old movie.
Prince Philip's favorite film was a Flash Gordon. Oh, Queenie, what's
He just likes men in tights.
Let's put Flash Gordon on. Oh, yes, all right, Philip.
He probably loves Drag Race then.
No way. No way. Anyway, Brian Blessed has revealed that the royal couple met a tracker called Albert Ostman in Vancouver during a trip to Canada, who told them both that they had been captured by a family of the mystical 8 men during a fishing trip to Venezuela. Venezuela now. What a leap. They said the Queen, when in Vancouver, wanted to meet a man called Albert Ostman, who was a trapper in Venezuela and North Africa. Just outside Venezuela, he wanted to go on holiday and go fishing. And he was an experienced traveler and explorer. In his tent, had a rifle, and he was looking for Bigfoot. While he was fishing.
Bigfoot would be like, "Hey, I'm glad you brought a condom." You know.
He says it's the most brilliant account of Sasquatch I've ever heard. He describes being kidnapped. He describes 4 of them being taken away. It's so real. Scientists examined him. They couldn't find anything wrong with him, apart from in his fucking head, probably.
Just a little tender in the backside.
And the Queen and Prince Philip spent an afternoon with Albert and told the story. He didn't like to repeat the story, but he told the Queen the whole story, and she believed him implicitly. The royals reportedly had quite the fascination with Bigfoot. Brian worked with Prince Philip on his Duke of Edinburgh award scheme, blah, blah, blah. Who cares about your association with a prince?
Were there any children in this coupling?
I think Brian Blessed must have had a quiet day, because he keeps going on. The blowing British star who can be heard performing the parts of the Master of Ceremonies, and the Caveman on up-and-coming album Tubular Bells, the 50th anniversary celebration. Who cares? Who cares? Seriously? No. He knows that Yetis exist because he saw them on an expedition in Mongolia. Now, wait a minute. Let me finish this. He says there are all these creatures alive in the earth. Yeti, Sasquatch, Bigfoot. In Mongolia, they walked thousands of miles, and they were seen migrating, hairy men. I climbed several of the mountains, and they were there. 7, 8, 9 of them, all covered in fur. And I saw them at a distance. Do you know what people wear? Big people in Mongolia when they're out in the mountains. Do you know what they wear?
Coats and stuff. This guy's got to stay off the freaking peyote, man. Holy God.
So you saw on the mountains people walking around in furry coats. Yeah. Oh my God.
What was he dressed like, the Michelin Man or something? It's just,
Oh, thank you, the press, for bringing such a delightful story of utter shit.
That's worth a subscription right there, right?
There's not one credible bit of information in amongst all that shit. Absolutely none.
So if you happen to be a Bigfoot, leave a comment below on how good your family history is with building boats to travel the world, and hit subscribe. Trust me, it's worth it. There's more of this crap.
Just leave some fucking evidence in the comment section, please.
And if you find Noah's Ark, let us know, all right?
Oh
man.
Oh my